Ann Arbor, Michigan's where's Grand Rapids? That's what's that? Hello, hello, hello. Are you? I'm sorry. Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello. This is the
Hey
Okay.
champ.
guys.
All right. Cool. I see. People are starting to chime in or get on now. We'll give it a couple minutes before we get this started. I see. Looks
Okay,
like
sounds good.
Ray, you're on there. I see the 803 number. Just hang tight for a minute or two, everyone, and we'll blast this thing off tonight.
Sounds good, brother. Sounds good. How you doing, man?
Really, 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 really well. I'll uh, I'll say a few words and then I'll give you a little intro and we're kind of excited to hear what you got to say. A lot of times, sometimes that one thing someone has to say can, change the outcome of others tomorrow. So, man, so glad you're
Yeah.
on here tonight.
Well, I'm hoping to get that message through because I tell you, it's faith and hope got me where I am today and right now, and and also it helps to have a good wife by your side. She's my rock, and my big rocks, the Lord, of course, and then my small rock is my wife, and the two work good together, and I'm very blessed to even be here to tell this story. So, to me, it's a blessing all the way around, I guess.
Okay, for
So,
sure. Well, we'll just hang tight and save it for a minute, okay?
okay, sure, man.
All right, just hang tight.
Sure, brother.
Okay, if everyone can mute their phone for a minute, so tell you're called on, so we don't get no feedback. We've been having a little bit of feedback problems the last call or
Okay.
two. But anyways, everybody, I'm Rob. This is our Wednesday night 333 plan call. The origin of this program or plan is 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. I designed it with this template in mind that if you're having trouble getting something started, if you do the same thing repeatedly for 3 days in a row, on the fourth day it gets a little bit easier. In 3 weeks or 21 days, it is clinically proven that we do create a habit. If we exercise the habit that we've created for 90 days or 3 months, usually at that point, that's a good turning point and you're well on your way to success. That's why the 3 month marker is very, very, very important. I always request that you just take one day at a time and be successful for that one day or 1 hour or whatever it takes. But when you get to that 3 month or that 90-day mark, that's why a lot of weight loss challenges are 90 days. A lot of, a jail sentence is 90 days. That's usually a good breaker and a good milestone. But today we make it one day. We only have to be successful for one day. Three of those add up, then the fourth day is a little easier. But you get 24 hours at a time, and you do that 90 times, you're at that spot. So tonight I'm real honored to have our guest speaker. But before we get into that, we will. Does anyone have any questions with their new plans or what's going on, or you a little bit nervous about eating too much tomorrow? Anything of that nature I need to touch off on? Okay, good. Usually when there's no questions like that, that means that I've laid everything out there really simple. I want, first off, I want everyone to know that I'm very thankful to have each and every one of you on this call tonight, just like every other Monday and Wednesday night, but just for the opportunity to do what I do and, share the blessing that, I've been given a gift. The stuff that I put out there usually works and gets, a lot of results at a very high level. And obviously, there's people on here for, doing bodybuilding shows. There's people on here for just average weight loss. There's people on here that have lost. There's people trying to lose 100 pounds. Um, this is just, full spectrum wellness, health and well-being. Tonight, um, I have a guest speaker. He's on the line. This guy is this guy's a trooper, and I mean his day to day just motivation within himself to find himself to keep going is going to be amazing. I knew this guy way back in the day in the Carolina days when we used to actually have to cut the sleeves off our t-shirts so it looked like we lifted weights or had muscles. Um, this is a very true friend of mine. In the later years of his life, he obviously acquired the disease that we all fear so much of, cancer. But the reason I wanted him on this call is because this guy is like no other person. He is the only person in the world ever to for pretty much fight off and survive terminal neck cancer. Not only that, after that he went on to win a world heavyweight boxing title. And his day to day, I'm sure, a lot of times we have so much to be thankful for. Not that, he has a lot of things to be thankful for, but, a lot of times we make these things like, oh, I don't feel like going to the gym or, I can't do this. Yes, you can if you want to. Um, and Ray, what I'd like for you to share is, we don't have to go in depth with your whole life story, but maybe just kind of share your journey and what motivates you to get up on them days and how you've progressed through this illness and how you keep going and just share a little bit about yourself. We'd love to hear from you, Ray. It's on you, buddy. This is Ray the Stingray Fowler.
Uh, Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Rob. Rob's one of my very best friends, like he said, from South Carolina and good old Columbia, South Carolina. I live in Lexington now, which is still kind of close to Columbia, but enjoyed growing up. Um, I guess where my real story starts is my childhood was kind of rough growing up, but not only that, I've always had adversities that I've had to go through, and seemed like it's always a little bit harder for me for some reason. I made up excuses why I couldn't get things done, why I wouldn't do things I needed to be doing. But later on in life, everyone grows up, they grow out of, hopefully, your bad habits and the things that are bring you down in ways that aren't good for you. I had many of those challenges, and then I finally ended up getting married and settling down and just really falling in love for the first time, and started going to a church and found out that this church I was going to, the youth ministry needed some money to keep it going. So at 42 years old, I decided that since I had been boxing most of my life, that I was going to get in the ring and do a tough man championship in Atlanta. So while training, of course, now they make you go through getting the medical license and everything like that. And I noticed while training, I had a headache for the whole entire time, which was about 6 straight weeks. And I had already had a disease called fibromyalgia which made me tired all the time. So I had to push myself extra hard than normal. And these headaches I was getting, I just kind of pushed it off as a, hypertension or whatever. I hadn't trained that hard in a long time. And so when I went to the doctor, I was told, basically he asked me how I was feeling, and I had this lump in my neck. And I said, well, I've had a headache for a while. I got this lump in my neck, and he pushed on it and said, does it hurt? And I said, no. And he said, well, that's a problem. So right away, we knew there was a problem in my neck. There was a mass there. So I had a CAT scan done that day immediately, and my worst fears in my life came alive at that moment, that I knew there was a mass in my neck. So the very next day, they cut that mass out, which ended up being a slight bit bigger than a golf ball. I actually died when the pressure was released, because it was pressed against my carotid artery in my neck, and I actually died for 20 seconds. I would love to say I saw a light, or I met God, or I didn't, but I do have him in my heart and in my life, and he'll always be there. I wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for him. But anyway, after getting that second chance at life, I went to an ear and nose doctor actually 2 weeks later, and found out that the cancer had started in my throat, in my tonsils. So after them cutting it out of my neck, I found that was also in my throat. So I had neck and throat cancer at the same time. So literally a week and a half to 2 weeks later, they cut me open again and took my tonsils out. What's ironic and really kind of a trip to me is it was 4 years ago in 2011 that I started my treatments after Thanksgiving, the Monday after Thanksgiving. So tomorrow will be the fourth Thanksgiving, and it will be the following Monday that I will have started my cancer treatments. Between this time I was told that I was in terminal cancer, I really, at that time, didn't understand how bad it actually was until he told me I had a 14% chance of living. Well, I've always fought off my back, and I've always been, I was in shape, actually. I was training for a fight. So he said, I'm going to give you the most aggressive chemotherapy and radiation together that I've ever given any human, because, you're in shape right now for a fight. And usually I don't get anyone in here that's in good shape already. So it was kind of an experimental thing where he put 12 hits of chemo, and he condensed them into 3. So I had to do a full bag of chemo every 2 weeks. And I did 49 radiation treatments along with that, Monday through Saturday. And I did that for 7 weeks. I did it all in 7 weeks. It was the hardest thing I ever did. But I can tell you the thing that changed my life and made me fight for the whole, just not give up, even though they told me I was going to die, was during my second chemo process, a little boy came into the, and this is hard for me to talk about, but a little boy came in on a stretcher, and they have the children's hospital here for cancer, and it's at a different location. And when they come to the adult center, the cancer center, it's usually they're in a really bad way, and they're having to have a special procedure done. And while I was in there, he came in on the stretcher. His family was with him. He was, they were crying. He was happy. He seemed like he just was oblivious to the fact that he was on the edge of dying. And I walked over to him and gave him a fist bump and said, hey, if I can do this, you can do it, and you got this all the way. And the family said thank you, and I walked off and did my chemo session. Well, the chemo session takes about 4 hours for one session because it's so much at one time that they were giving me. And when I came back downstairs, I found out that, that he had died. And it was such a profound moment to me that I was just, God, why not me? Why this little boy? It just wasn't meant to be. It just wasn't meant to be. And I'm not to question God. So, but what I did make a promise to him was this. I said, Lord, if you'll give me a second chance, if you'll give me a second chance to beat this thing, I know they say I can't, but I know I can. If you'll help me beat this, I'll spend the rest of my life helping kids. And a lot of it did have to do with the childhood I had. I mean, I was actually beaten by my mother until I was well into my 20s. But you can never hit your mother back. She's your mother. And a lot of these things I held back from my friends, and, it just seemed like one more thing to deal with. But I knew I had to finish what I started originally with my church, trying to raise the money for these kids in my youth group. So when I looked back at it, I said, this is inspiration straight from God. And this is your time, Ray. You got a second chance. Not only a second chance, but I've been told I have 9 lives like a cat, but I've succeeded that many times over. Now, I went down to 150 pounds at the time, and I was 240 when I started. So in 7 weeks, I lost 90 pounds of muscle in 7 weeks. It was at this time that the doctor said that he was going to put a feeding tube in me. I declined it and told him that I would just, if I had to die, that I would die, but I would die trying to eat on my own because I didn't want to get staph infection. I finally started eating again. All I could think about was this little kid, and how could I make it right? How can I make things better inside myself and not give up? Well, I had to learn that, and I had to live for something bigger than myself, and that kid would not leave my mind. And all I could think was, if I fight. So this is what I did, and the first time I realized I was actually going to try and do it was when I found out that no one else had done it before. And I had went to a fundraiser with world champion legendary boxers, heavyweight boxers, called Find a Dream. So when I got there, the first person I hooked up with immediately that we became good friends was Merciless Ray Mercer. He was the WBO heavyweight champion and had one of the greatest right hands of all time. Well, he was the first man to tell me that I could do it, screw the doctors, because when I told the doctors I wanted to fight and earn a belt, they told me I would die trying. And I said, well, then I'm going to die trying to help kids because, without living for something bigger than myself, I'm going to die anyway. So I just went for it. And while I was there, I met this man named Kenny Milligan. Kenny Milligan was one of the greatest trainers, boxing trainers in the whole Southeast, on the whole East Coast. And he had fought for Roger Mayweather in the late 80s and early 90s. He was a cruiserweight. So me and him became fast friends, and next thing you know, he said, listen, Ray, I don't want nothing from you. I want to see you get this dream because I think it's the most amazing story I've ever heard. So immediately we started training. The whole thing about the belt itself, becoming the first man to get the belt and it was the hardest thing physically and mentally that I had ever done, the biggest challenge of my life. But when people ask me about the belt and how special to me it is, I try to tell them that the belt itself is just a piece of leather with brass and 24-karat gold laminate over it. It's the journey to the belt that I want to share with y'all that was so is so important about this whole story. You can never look back. Once you start going forward with anything, you can never look backwards. And you have to have hope and faith. If you can believe it, you can achieve it. And, I have a muscle disease now that, is 5-10 times fold because of, all the chemo and things I went through that went straight down my neck. But the thing about it is I got a second chance. And a lot of people don't get a second chance. And everyone out there, you have a second chance right now. You don't have to go through what I went through. And, I always tell everyone, I'm a champion now, and people call me champ all the time. And I say, well, everyone's a champion as long as you're living for something bigger than yourself. And the reason I say that is because the definition of a champion is fighting for a cause simply that's bigger than yourself. Fighting for a cause that's worth, almost dying for. Giving it your all for. That's what a champion is. So we're all champions inside. And, I quit going to the pain center 6 months ago because, I just didn't want to take pain medicine. It made me sick on my stomach. There's a lot of things to get rid of stress that can take pain away from you. And you just have to follow those things and follow people that, like Rob, who give you, I know, excellent professional advice. But I will say that eating right is about 85% of what got me back to where I wanted to be, as well as training at 5 in the morning until I threw up, basically every day. I did this for about a year and a half straight, and I put on almost 90 pounds of muscle again. But what I'm trying to say is anyone can do anything you want to if you put your mind to it. You keep your head up. You don't look down. Don't never look backwards. Always look forward and believe in everything that if you can dream it, if you can do it. I'm telling you, if I can do it, anyone can do it. I'm the guy that the doctor said, you're going to die trying to do this. You're going to die. Well, you have to have goals in life, and sometimes it's worth risking your life to maintain those goals, especially if it helps someone else. And so I share my story as much as I can. I talk to kids at school. I'm part of the Scared Straight program for South Carolina, and I'm just glad I have a second chance to talk to y'all, and I'm glad that Rob let me share a part of my story with y'all. There's a lot more to it, but I don't think we have 55 hours to talk on the phone tonight. But I just want to tell everyone that I love every one of y'all, and I believe in every one of y'all. I believe that God has a purpose for all of us, and I also believe we all have a cross to bear, and there's no cross bigger than anyone else's cross. It's heavy to all of us, but God can take that weight off of you as long as you put Him forth, straight in front of you, and follow His path. Don't pray for patience, just pray for His will, because that's what it has to be anyway. So God bless everybody. Thank you for letting me share my story. I love to help kids. Will continue to help kids the rest of my life, and I'll continue to love people like Rob who help to share a story, which is means a lot to me. It means a lot to Sharon. It means a lot to kids, hopefully. And thank you, Rob, so much for having me on tonight, brother.
Ray, you can stay on the call and listen in. We're got a few more minutes. Ray, thank you so much. If that
Hope it
didn't
wasn't too drawn out.
Oh no, that was a perfect time frame. everybody on this call tonight, if that didn't move you, um, I don't know what will. I guarantee you there was days he didn't want to get out of bed and do what he had to do, but he was doing it for a purpose greater than himself. And to piggyback on what he said, that I try to install in each and every one of you, you cannot trip over things behind you and look back. It's all about forward motion. Now, there's a true case if your body will follow your mind. He put that belt around his waist a year before he even got it. And he followed that vision and he got there. Um, just tomorrow's Thanksgiving, everybody. In this world, eat. For those of you that are just starting diets or whatever you got going on, just don't go overboard. Just eat fairly smart. This is a holiday to be thankful and love and have a great time. And I love each and every one of you. We're gonna cut this call short tonight. If you can get on that private Facebook page, rate this call. There's a lot of people that are paying for this program and this service that aren't on this group. And Ray, I'm going to add you to a private Facebook group with all my clients too as well. You
Please
feel
do.
no, feel free to get on there and stroll through there. There's a lot of love, hope, and strength on there, and we would love to have you around. And Ray, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Again,
Rob. It's all about the good fight, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, it's all worth it in the end.
it is. It sure is.
Everyone, we're gonna close this down. Please get on that Facebook group and critique this call, and let's try to motivate others, but help ourselves by helping out everyone else. God bless each and every one of you. Have a great night and a happy Thanksgiving. Good night, everybody.
Thank
Thanks,
y'all. I love
Rob.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you, Rob. I love you, brother, so much.
Yeah, back at you, man. We'll talk later. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, brother. All
Yep.
right.